So next, we'll go into our mobile lab session so that we can execute an exploratory test on a mobile device. So before I run that session, I want to hop into this environment. So for anybody who's seen Mobile Center before, this might look familiar. So instead of having to purchase Mobile Center separately, we've embedded Mobile Center as a service for you so that you don't have to worry about maintaining your mobile center environment. So with that, we've got all of our devices populated here. These devices that you see in here, they could be the private devices that you already own and that are connected to your laptop via a USB, for instance, by using a device connector that we've got straight from here so that we can start executing right there from our hands. Or you've also got the option as a service for StormRunner Functional and part of the mobile packaging options to have leverage the integration we've already got embedded in here with Amazon Device Farm to have a public mobile device or to have a private device, whichever works best for your scenarios. And then this lab environment allows us to make those reservations so there's no confliction of resources that we're using. And then any applications that we want to run are native applications on our mobile devices we can do inside of here. An exploratory tab is where we'll be able to create new sessions for a mobile or web application. And since we just came from our mobile lab, I'll create a mobile session for exploratory test. And for this, I'm going to check the functionality of our Discover the New video on a mobile device. I can also control the duration of the environment that we're spinning up and the StormRunner functional team is offering for us as a service to reduce this to help with my consumption, add any tags I want to facilitate the searching of this, and then just add the environment. We'll notice the difference in the mobile test that we're doing. We no longer have the operating systems or browsers and browser versions, but now we have access to the lab for the environment that we're going to select for the mobile device that we want to test on. So I'm going to choose the iPhone 7 Plus, and if this was a native application that I was testing, which I'm not currently, I could check to see the uninstalling and installing and restarting to check those SLAs as well if that was part of my business process. All I have to do is click Start, and now StormRunner Functional Team and Mars will be spinning up our environment for us to give us access to that iPhone 7 Plus, make sure that there's no conflictions with the reservations. And then we'll see, for those who are familiar with Mobile Center, the same features and functionalities on the left side that we have in there as well, that include being able to stay in the typical vertical mode, or we can change it to landscape. We could import any videos or images, and just more features that we have here to facilitate and give us better mobile device testing. So for this process, I'm just going to access Safari on the iPhone. I'm going to navigate to the Micro Focus website, and then I'm going to make sure that the Discover a New video is populating and it's viewable as expected, and we've got a good user experience for those who want to learn more about the HPE software and the Micro Focus spin merge that just happened. Click Watch Now, and then it'll hopefully, as we expect for exploratory session, it will open up the video that we want to have displayed. And let's say most users are going to turn this to landscape. It plays, and then we'll be good to go. So what we've got here too is the ability to submit a defect directly from StormRunner Functional to our application lifecycle management solution called Octane. And then Octane can push that same defect into the IDE for the developer to take action on this defect so we can get it resolved and get this pushed out to production correctly, or if it's a defect in production, get it resolved quickly so that there are no users, or the minimal amount, experiencing this defect. And the way I could do that is just create an open a defect, and I could say, let's just simulate that this is the wrong video, put in the new one. Not very specific, but it is a defect for us to work on. Should be video Discover the New 2. And since I've already created the integration from StormRunner Functional to Octane, it's going to submit it directly. This is the defect ID that we've got that will be visible inside of Octane. And I could also, if I'm going along with additional steps, I could capture images here as well. So for those who are familiar with Sprinter, we can kind of see the same things as well. I've got the ability to write however I want to. I can change the colors to whatever makes sense for me. I can highlight here, say maybe this is the wrong quote, and then just go from there, say wrong quote or text. Save this, and now I can submit this as part of my new defect. Say wrong quote in video. This will be a medium priority, and we'll say should be quote number 2. And then we've got another defect ID as well. So before I show this defect in Octane and then Octane pushing that to IntelliJ, what I haven't shown yet is this storyboard, which is capturing every single step that we've had. So of course we know with exploratory testing, either we're not writing down any of the steps because we're just exploring, right? But we come across that defect and somebody asks us, how do we get there? This is ensuring that we have all those steps captured so we can answer that question, and so that person that is fixing the defect knows how we got there in the first place, as well as saving us time from having to write it down manually if that's what we were doing as well. So we can see all the steps, the user actions that we're going through on the left, that'll be submitted as part of it, and then the time, the duration for that to load as well. Go back here, and then now we're done with the session. We're going to say it's failed, do wrong quote and wrong video, and this will be saved into StormRunner functional. But before we go and look and drill into this, we're going to go into Octane where we submitted these defects. So this is the defects portion of Octane, and all I have to do is do a refresh, and we'll see the video or the defect that I submitted straight from here, 181010, and then we can go into here. We can start populating the fields so that we've got more data to tie this to for our test management. In the future, StormRunner Functional will support the smart defect capabilities that you might be familiar with if you've used Sprinter and using that with ALM. But for now, I'm going to just leave these fields empty just to show the integration from end to end. And then I assign a developer. I'm doing this manually, but I could also create a workflow inside of Octane so that once this defect is entered from StormRunner Functional to Octane, it could be automatically sent to the IDE of the developer that I want to, which is what happens when I assign the owner there. I click Save, and then now I'm just going to hop into my IntelliJ environment to see as a developer inside of my IDE. Here I've got the integrations with ALM Octane to know what I have to work on, what are my tasks, so that way I don't have to enter any other environments. I can stay with what's comfortable and familiar with me, and I know exactly what I need to do to get my job done and what priorities based on the fields that we've populated. So inside of here we see that we've got the wrong quote in the video, and we can go from here, and then as the developer, I can start fixing this defect and push it back, and so we can get it resolved, whether it's in production or not, better and quicker root cause analysis and increasing the effectiveness of the communication between teams and different responsibilities. Once I go back into my environment for StormRunner Functional, we'll also see that this test that we just ran, we can go to the latest runs. I can drill down into here. We see kind of similar to before with the scripts, but now we've got this ability to see the steps that we've gone through in this test. Later on, when StormRunner Functional is released, we'll be able to share this as well. But then we can also see the screen capture that we did so that we can have more details on the flows if somebody's reviewing this to see what's going on here. And again, as part of the smart defect that StormRunner Functional will support in the future, this image will be able to be submitted as part of the defect in Octane, as well as being pushed into the IDE to facilitate better and quicker time to resolution.